Hi everyone! So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to make this adorable Christmas scene card using the little reindeer stamp by Gerda Steiner Designs and some Copic markers. So let's jump right in and get started with our Christmas scene. So I'm going to stamp the three images that are included in the Gerda Steiner little reindeer stamp on an A2 size piece of Express It blending cardstock, which is the cardstock I like for Copic coloring. And I'm going to tape it down to my cardboard here just so that the picture doesn't move around while I'm filming. And also I like to get a nice little 1/8 of an inch border around my edges of my scene cards. And I'm going to start by coloring in our reindeer first. So if you've been watching my channel, you know that usually I start with a background and I'll mask my images. But for this one, because we're going to have such a soft background, I didn't really see the need to do the background first. So I thought we could jump right in with coloring our main images. And for our reindeer, I'm going to color him in some warm reddish browns with my E30s markers, with my lightest colors focus towards the center parts of his body. So like the area around the nose is going to be the lightest brown, and then the area like right above where his legs meet in the middle, you see that? That's going to be pretty light. And then we're going to have some shadows underneath his chin, on the edges of his face, and then like on the parts of his body that are sitting behind him. So his back legs are going to have some shading as well. For the antlers, I'm going to use some E40s, and I'm going to color the antlers very, very light. So I'm focusing my shading on the edges of the antlers, and towards the base of the antlers are going to have my darkest shades. And I want the center parts to be really, really nice and light, so that by coloring this way, we give the antlers, we make it look like they're dimensional, like they are rounded somewhat. So whenever I want to make something look dimensional, I always color it dark around the edges and very, very light in the center. And that's what I'm doing with this little Christmas ball, and with Rudolph's nose, doing that same method of applying my darker shades around the edges of the image and then keeping that center very, very light. One viewer asked me why I use the yellow in the center of my red coloring. And the reason I do that is I prefer to have a like yellowish orange highlight as opposed to a white highlight. I just think it makes red objects just look really, really beautiful, almost like they're glowing when you add the highlight color in a very, very like one shade maybe lighter than the color of your main image. So for the green there, I use kind of a yellow for my highlight. For the red ball, I used the orange color. And I am going to try to color in all of the little lights and the little ornaments hanging off of his antlers in rainbow colors. And let me just explain what I just did here. So I colored him in E30s to start his body. I didn't like the reddish of the brown, so then I'm just glazing him with some E40s. So I'm basically taking my E44 for my shadow and then my E42 and just running it all over all of that brown coloring that I had done, just to cool things down a little bit and make him look a little less reddish. So that's a trick that you can use if you color in an image and you're not quite happy with the color. You can always try to glaze another color over it if you understand how the colors interact with each other. I find that I've done this a few times with these two brown shades, glazing the E30s with the E40s. I also find that with pinks, I always end up choosing colors that are brighter than I expected. So a lot of times with my pinks, I'll glaze them as well with a less bright pink. Now let's focus on the coloring again for the little images here. So for the little birds, I'm going to color them in blue. And then I wanted that little bird on the left to look like he was really, really super chilly and cold. So we're going to color him in mostly blue-green colors. And then to make the two birds match somewhat, I'm just going to glaze that little blue bird on the right with my blue-green with the BG11. So this way they kind of look like they're the same type of bird, but the little guy on the left is just a little bit more cold than the one on the right. So I'm just gonna keep coloring those in and then move on to my ornaments. So we're going to color in our ornaments in blue-green, in orange, and then also a dark pink color. And I thought that those were the colors I needed to kind of round out the rainbow look that I was going for all the things hanging from Rudolph's little antlers. I also really wanted our center image to stand out because we're going to have a really, really pale background. So I thought by just, adding a little bit of a rainbow color scheme to Rudolph's antlers, that would kind of help blend everything together. Just make it pretty and interesting to look at. I'm adding a little bit of cool grays to the whites of the hat on our little birds, just to give the white a little bit of dimension. And now we're going to start working on the background. So I'm just sketching out where I want my little mounds of snow to be. And I want both of those little birds to look like they're standing on a mound of snow. So that's why I added the lines right under them, the curved lines. And then to kind of build the little mounds of snow out, we're going to put some shading behind them. So I'm just taking the tip of my cool gray marker and I'm just flicking upwards, making sure that my flicks get really, really small to non-existent as we get farther away from the edge. And then I'm going to add some other colors to my shadows for the snow just to make it look like it's chilly and cold. So I'm using the B0000 and then also some B60 just to give that snow a little bit of interest and just to reinforce the idea that these guys are in a really, really cold, a cold snowy area. For the sky, we're going to start our sky from the base of the snow with B000, and I'm going to just let it fade out into nothingness. And I'm going to add some BG10 to the edges of the scene, but not to the center, just to help reinforce the chilliness of this scene. And I just like how it fades out into nothing towards the top. And I'm just going to fix up our little snowbanks down here. And then we're going to add some shadows under our three little critters. So I'm going to start with my C5, and that's going to be the darkest shadow color that we have. And then I'm going to blend it into the background with some C3 and then some C1. And every time I blend it together, I bring my shadow out just a little bit. And I want my shadows also to follow the edges of the snowbank as well, or the little mountains of snow or the little hills of snow the birds are sitting in, just to reinforce that they're on some snowy little mounds there. Could add some highlights with a white gel pen, and if it looks too bright, I just tap it off with my finger to dull it a little bit. It's not going to matter at the end of the day because we're going to cover the whole scene in snow. So if there are any imperfections anywhere, you can just cover it over with some snow like I'm doing here. And now I'm going to add my snow, and I'm going to start by adding some pretty thick circles. And I'm going to make sure to cover up my main images as well so they appear to be in the center of the snowstorm. And then after I get enough big circles, I'm going to just go and dot my white gel pen all over with some smaller little circles of snow, some little dots. And this is just to make it look like the snow is interesting, because snow, when it falls down, it's not all the same size. Snow that's closer to us is going to appear bigger. Some flakes may be bigger than others, and I just wanted to give the appearance of a big blizzard going on outside. Now we're going to stamp the sentiment. The sentiment is from the Little Reindeer stamp set, and it says, "Have yourself a merry little Christmas." And I stamped Christmas in red ink. And that's our card for today, everyone. So this card took me maybe about 30 minutes to do, but it was just pure joy coloring it in. These are adorable little images, and you will have a wonderful time if you try to recreate this card, which I hope you do. All right, that's all I have for now, everyone. I will see you again soon in the next video. Have a great day.